Welcome, everybody, one and all, to the Nintendo Rewind. I'm Cody Christian. I'm joined by my co-host, Chris Becker, and we are rewinding and recapping last week for Nintendo. But before we dive into any of the crazy news that we've got to talk about, or maybe some of the cool stuff that we've got going on later in the show, Chris, how are you doing? How are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing marvelous. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm out here living life to the fullest, or at least 3/4, and yeah, just hanging out. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm tired. I've been going nonstop today on everything, and part of the problem is like I haven't really been sleeping super well the past few days. Like, I don't know why. It's just my eyes have been plastered open until like 3 a.m., 5 a.m. And then like I can't get myself out of bed. And today I slept in because I guess my body said, hey, you're going to recover today. And then it was just absolutely hit the ground running and do everything you possibly can to try to catch up to everything you've got to do today. So kids had chores, kids had school, kids had art class, kids had other things, just like general needs. But beyond that, I had to work on the podcast because instead of doing my job last night like I normally would, getting the show notes and the thumbnails and everything going, we decided to play Fortnite for a couple hours and get our butts handed to us over and over and over again. So like
you had a miserable time.
I was tilted, absolutely tilted. I was like, I hate this game. Don't want to play it ever again. Done with it. But then like now today there's new stuff to do and I'm like, well, I'm probably gonna, I don't know. But we've got a busy packed week. I will say that much too. Like we've got a busy packed week. This week, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom releases on Thursday. So
that's true.
We got that to look forward to. And you have indeed heard of it because you guys as viewers can look forward to a video review coming out hopefully within the next couple of days because Chris and I were able to get our hands on some review copies for the people. So we will hopefully have reviews up by Thursday. If not Thursday, by Friday. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we actually make it across that finish line and get it up by Thursday. But no,
I believe in us.
Keep your eyes peeled and your ears peeled. It's going to be a really, really good time. We're going to do our best to do a spoiler-free review as much as we possibly can. And then following that, we're going to have a one-on-one discussion as well that'll be coming out later on this week about how we both overall felt about it. Not necessarily just our video review, but maybe a little more deep dive, still avoiding spoiler territory. So I'm excited to do that, but it's a busy week. It's a busy rest of the week, and I'm hoping we make it through it. But that being said, did you do anything chaotic or anything fun this past week? I don't know. Chaotic?
No, I wouldn't say so. In terms of stuff I've done, no, nothing that chaotic outside of play. Echoes of Wisdom. Played some, I don't know if you heard of a game called Fortnite. Played a little bit of that.
I may have heard of Fortnite.
UFO 50. I watched my dad and I are watching. We got not quite all called up. We've been watching Only Murders in the Building. Just finished season 3, and they're on season 4 right now. So we've been watching that. And then the State of Play. They announced some games coming to the Switch. I watched that. That's exciting.
Absolutely. You mentioned one of the games to me that's got me super stoked, and it's Lunar, right?
Yeah, the Lunar remaster. It's coming to everything: PlayStation, Switch, Steam, and Xbox. And PlayStation as well. But it was in the State of Play, and then afterwards they announced it's coming to everything else. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. For those who aren't familiar with Lunar, also, Lunar is one of the most beloved, turn-based, not even turn-based, RPGs that I think that we've had in a very, very long time. It's one of those like niche ones too. That it's not Final Fantasy, so like I would argue that a lot of people probably haven't heard of it. The version that I played was the Game Boy Advance version, but that game was on Sega as well. Like it was on I believe Genesis, if I'm remembering correctly. And it's just
Sega CD.
Yes,
I think
CD.
Yeah.
And there was a PlayStation version of it as well, I think. If I'm not misspeaking.
And probably PSP, I think, like a version of it.
There is a PSP version, and it's pretty underwhelming. People don't really care for that one.
This is not going to be based on that, but yeah, they did redo the Oh, you know what? Now that completely unrelated to this, my ADHD come through. But the big event that did happen is we got the bye emote in Fortnite.
That is true. That is true. We did get the bye emote from Deadpool in Fortnite this past week.
And I think the most excited you were while we were playing last night is after we had finished, you got into a game and you're like, I need to thank the bus driver one more time. And so while you're in the lobby waiting for the match to start, you did bye, and someone ran up to you and did it with you.
It was cool. There was a random that also had it. I was like, yes, it's the, bye whole dance and everything. It was too good.
Yeah.
It was too good.
And you can synchronize with other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Heavily recommend it. 500 V-Bucks. Use code Super Nintendad when you go in there. Support your favorite creator. Yeah. Oh man, but no, we've got a really, really cool show planned for tonight. There are two topics that we're going to be diving into. The first of which is going to be the Switch 2 leak that happened after last week's episode. It hit on Wednesday with some pictures that started flowing around of some CAD renders and some actual pictures of maybe some real hardware. And it was a big deal. It took the internet by storm. I kind of wish we hadn't talked so much about the Switch leaks last week, but that was what we needed to talk about. Yeah. And then the secondary piece is we have a new game show that we're going to be doing today that is called Hyrule or Lowrule. But we'll explain that whenever we get a little bit closer. Before we do any of that, I want to make sure that that I extend our big thank yous to our supporters from over at NintendoRewind.com. So there are a couple of things. If you would like to directly support our content, guide what we're discussing, and get exclusive videos that won't be uploaded to YouTube channels, you can sign up to become a member. Plus, you get merch discounts, and every dollar spent on our merch also helps us continue to produce the show and helps support us. There is even a tier that only costs $1 a month, and with it, you get a shout out. That said, I want to thank our members, Calamity Nolan, Sierra Christian, and Shiny Bird for all their gracious support. We are going to get back to the show now. Chris, Switch 2 leak. Switch 2 leak. Switch 2 leak. I'll say it 3 times. So maybe it's like Beetlejuice, and we'll see another Switch 2 leak before we, before we even post
what
this
sort of
episode.
popcorn bucket we're gonna get. But yeah.
Oh man, you were the one who sent this to me. Tell the people about what we need to be talking about. What happened with the Switch 2 leak this past week?
So, yeah, we got. First, it started off with like just random images, and then there was some images of real world mock-ups of it, or not mock-ups, but like the shell, and we got those, and then also at the same time we got like a spec sheet of the specs for it as well, and so it's like this and that and this and this and all sorts of stuff that came out, and then even after that happened, then I think it was like the next day, then there was like that patent that they filed for something else, but we can talk about that in a minute. But yeah, this here, and then I just remember sending you a whole string of stuff, and then eventually being like, I think before anyone even responded or woke up, I was just like, it turns out it might not be true. And then like a few hours later, then it's like, oh no, maybe it still is true. And then like a video came out of a Chinese YouTuber came out and made a video talking about it as well, and 3D printed to the specs of what was shown, and we got that as well. It's just that there's a lot to talk about, I guess.
There absolutely
what
is.
do you think when you woke up and saw the shenanigans I had sent you?
So when you messaged, I'm actually, let me go to my DMs real quick, because here's the deal. Like, when you messaged that, I was like, what is going on? And immediately got super stoked, but was also immediately sad, because and I'm using immediately a lot here. You sent Switch 2 and then attached pictures in this DM to the Nintendo Rewind chat here, and then right after that you said alleged specs were also included in the post, suggesting Switch 2 will have 12 gigs of RAM, 2 USB-C ports, support for HDMI 2.1, some more pictures, and then immediately said about 2 hours later, which was when I finally saw it, good morning, leaks are fake, have a good day. I cannot tell you. Whoops, wrong screen. Everybody's going to see the DMs that we got going. Oh no, we're still on the wrong thing. But I will tell you, like, it was one of those things where I was like, are you serious? Like, that is not real. I really want that to be, I really, really want that to be real. So unfortunately it was not. But, that being said, there was some more information that came out right after that, because I said, hey, if this isn't real, why is it still up on Wario64's page? To which you responded, apparently the pictures of the actual unit itself are real. And I said, okay. So I did a whole lot of research this past week, as did most everybody on the internet that has heard of a Nintendo Switch, and dove pretty hardcore into some of the stuff that we can find. So I've tried to collect about 4 or 5 sources that I thought were valuable enough to kind of look at and limit our discussion around the Switch 2 stuff. So the first one here is from Nintendo Life, and this was the article that was posted once everything kind of happened. But the reason that I have them is not because of the information that they have, but the links to the posts that they have from Andy Robinson over at AndyVGC, and streamer Arrow at Actual Arrow over on Twitter. Both of these people are saying silly season started, take it with a grain of salt, blah, blah, blah. Which I understand, because at the time we had no confirmations on any of this stuff. But the actual tweet that Arrow had posted had the images of the CAD renders, had the images of the actual hardware itself, some more images of the CAD renders as well, to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at with the Nintendo Switch 2. And what I can tell you is my immediate response when I did see the images, though, was, that's just a big Switch. And it was kind of underwhelming, and I don't want to be like super underwhelmed by it or super negative about it. And I understand, like, Nintendo doesn't necessarily want to reinvent the wheel. They've done that too many times, and see how the Wii U turned out. So, like, it is one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Like, I hope that Nintendo does some sort of gimmick, because that's what we've come to expect from them from every console post the GameCube, essentially. Like, everything has had a true gimmick. But I just I don't know what to expect. So I do kind of want to do a little more of a deep dive on what these images are and how they relate to what we're looking at and what we're talking about. So on the actual Reddit post that this leak came to American audiences from Mr. Sheeple, they had posted photos of a Switch 2 factory prototypes have leaked on a Chinese website. And then they had all the pictures that we kind of showed off just then on stream. But there was an update that they offered that said the same website also has specs. Now, if you look at the at the image of the real hardware, or what they assume to be the real hardware, you can kind of see where all of these things that are listed in the document, the shipping manifest for supplies, you can kind of see where all of those things belong and would go directly on the Nintendo Switch. And this image comes from Nintendo. But the shipping list details summary is the game console itself, the left Joy-Con controller, the right Joy-Con controller, the dock, and then a detailed configuration list, which gives us a much better idea of what we're actually working with rather than the estimated stuff that we had last week. So a lot of people are expecting this to still be like the Tegra X1 and not the Tegra X2. Possibly the Tegra X2 though, but it has its SoCi, its CPU and GPU model that listed there. It has its memory model, which is 6 gigs times 2 dual channel. You can see where those belong. This is where the GPU CPU goes. This is where those 2 portions of RAM would go. They're denoted in the green right there. They're denoted in the green. So 6 gigs of RAM on each of those pads. They also talked a little bit here about the flash memory model. So 256 gigs, which is still not a lot of memory, built-in memory. But it's quite a bit compared to what we have with the current Nintendo Switch OLED, right? Like,
yeah, what does it have, 32 or 64? I can't remember.
256 gigs.
No, I mean the OLED.
The OLED, I think it's 32. I could be wrong. I could be wrong because I use an SD card in it, and that number doesn't matter to me most of the time anyway. But like,
yeah,
built in.
I usually just save pictures on the system.
I'm with you. They talk about the audio chip model here, the NFC readers that are within the controllers for your amiibos and different things like that. Built-in microphone. Dual cooling fans that are listed on here, which you can kind of see where the cooling fans will go. You have your air intake at the bottom of the light blue box, and then your cooling fan itself at the top of the light blue box. So it's going to have dual cooling fans as well. And then copper gaming heatsink, which is pretty much the standard all the way across all of these consoles that are somewhat modern. Video signal conversion. This is DisplayPort to HDMI. Must be chip model. What they list here is the Ruxian RTD 2175M, but that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. That's just numbers and letters. Network chip model, noting that it has gigabit Ethernet chip, so it will have network cable interface. Microcontroller chip, that's for your controllers. Your video game console protective case model. This is listed as HGU 1100, but basically what you're looking at with that in particular is the plastic that it's made of. So it's got its dimensions, millimeters of thickness and everything like that. And then the speakers are listed on there as Musebox L and Musebox R. So you can kind of tell from this image the battery compartment, where it is going to go, and there are a lot of people talking about the size of this battery, and it's not going to be anywhere near the size that you would probably want it to be. Nintendo is probably wanting to reduce weight of the console itself to help save on shipping costs, because batteries are some of the heaviest things you stick inside of those consoles. But it's also cheaper to just put in a smaller battery inside of there. You can kind of see,
yeah, especially if you got the dock.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they're aiming for 2.5-3 hours handheld, and then just dock it.
Which would be on par with what I get out of my Steam Deck on a light power game. So,
right, yeah, exactly.
2 to 3 hours. Realistically, like, what I would want out of it is a little more battery life than 2 to 3 hours. I'd like to see about a 6-hour battery life, but that might be me dreaming. I just don't want to go back to the Sega Game Gear days. So that's the one thing I don't want to go back to. But, that being said, Digital Foundry, let me actually go to that tweet from them. Where is it? I apparently do not have that tweet anymore. I closed the tweet. Hang on one moment. Let me pull up my my show notes here so that way I can get their tweet from Digital Foundry's Insights. Because they had stated, the most interesting and plausible switch to leak image looks like some rough prototype components. Why fake a mainboard? Pay attention to the small size of the battery chamber and keep expectations firmly in check on handheld performance. If you had not checked out their, if you hadn't checked out their podcast from this past week, they did kind of go pretty deep in on this leak, and there are a couple of things here that they said that I think is important to make sure that we tell you guys about. The first thing is that they said this particular image is very, very likely real. And the reason they said that it is very, very likely real is because the amount of effort that even the most expert of hoaxers would have to go through to create a fake motherboard PCB to go inside of a fake Switch housing would have been so astronomically high that there's no way anyone would have been able to do it. Otherwise, this is the most expert leak, and they should just be creating consoles for Nintendo themselves. I ad-libbed that last part, but but it is absolutely the big piece of evidence here that kind of contributes this to being an actual unit of some sort in production. The other thing here is that they talked about, though, is in order to make that battery life last as long as they would probably want it to, as long as Nintendo would want it to, they will likely be underclocking their GPU, CPU, so that way they can get more battery life out of it. Which what that means in turn is that we are likely not going to be seeing exceedingly high performance video games on this console. So, take that with a grain of salt, because until we see the actual console itself and what it's capable of and performing at, because Nintendo are magicians and they can kind of get these consoles to do magic, I would just say, hey, don't pay too much attention to that until you actually see the unit in action. But I don't necessarily disagree with them, because that is an extremely educated guess. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we're going from 4 gigs of RAM to 12?
Yeah. 3 times the RAM.
Yeah.
Which RAM is important because, it allows it to perform more processes at once.
And maybe they'll be able to, I don't know. Because I think with the Switch, it was 1 gig of RAM just for the system itself.
Yeah.
Like the operating system. So, if they end up doing something similar, even if we get 10 gigs and it uses 2.
Yeah. That's significantly better than what we're currently getting with the 3 gigs of video game performance.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, if it has 10, it would be, right. Just RAM alone. I know RAM's not everything, but it would be just as much as the Series S.
Yeah.
But then there's, everything else involved. But it's going to have, I imagine there's no way it won't, DLSS.
Yeah, which they stated in the shipping manifesto that they were looking at that having a DLS. Let me actually look at what they said with the model there, because I did see that. No, my apologies. It was the DDR5. That is the memory model that's going to be in there, the RAM itself. So I'm a little wrong on that DLSS, but if it is the Tegra, it is capable of doing the DLSS super shading. So, I don't know. I don't know. I know that I feel very confident that leak itself is pretty real, but I don't know that any of that stuff is necessarily accurate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or what, I always see the specs, but until I actually see they show the games, you can kind of get an idea of around what the system will be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
Once you see kind of like the launch window games. You can get an idea of like where they're starting, and then you can kind of like go from there.
Absolutely. One other thing that happened this week, though, that I think really kind of puts this into perspective, how much of an upgrade this will be in terms of screen size real estate. There was a user, I cannot pronounce the first three things that are on there, but it's XNZ on YouTube, that posted a video of the 3D printed versions of those CAD renders, and kind of showed the comparison between what we're looking at with this upgrade, going into the original, or my apologies, the Switch OLED here. So you can kind of see as we fast forward the size comparison. It is a significant upgrade. It is wider. It is taller. And basically what we're seeing here also is it is a thinner model, which I don't know how much I really want it to be any thinner. My hands already cramp up. I have to have a satisfied grip on it to enjoy playing handheld for extended periods of time anyway. So I don't know if I necessarily want it thinner. There is a reason why, like, you see, like, the Steam Deck, for instance, has the gigantic handles on the back, to be able to make sure that it is comfortable to hold. And I think the Joy-Cons could kind of benefit from that in some ways. There's a reason why manufacturers have made so many of those. I think having the Joy-Cons be longer is a good idea, but I think thicker Joy-Cons would have been a step in a more correct direction, and maybe I'm wrong. But I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel like if they would do something like that with the thicker Joy-Cons, you'd want to make a thicker system too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that they wanted to do that, just because they want it to be able to slide into their dock, be able to pull it out, and then also, I think they liked how slick it looked when it's not in the dock, just that one small slate as opposed to something a little bit bigger and bulkier. Like, I mean,
it is very Apple in terms of design, right? Like, it is Apple in a lot of ways. So
yeah, they've come quite a way from the original DS.
Right. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on the design. I'm happy about it, but at the same time, it's just kind of just like an underwhelming iteration on the actual console itself. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong for that. I probably am. But it is what it is. It is what it is. But that is it for the news surrounding those Switch 2 leaks. Unless you have anything else that you want to add to it before we move on to the next part of the show.
Yeah, didn't that one extra button on the right Joy-Con, didn't it say something about the camera button?
Nobody really knows what that button's for. The actual CAD itself doesn't really show anything for what that button is actually for. The girl in the video that we were just showing, she just kind of guessed that that's what that button is going to be for, is for a camera button. But I do encourage people to go and take a look at that video. It's very well produced, and it's entertaining, but you're going to have to read subtitles if you're not a native. I believe that's a Japanese speaker, but I could be completely wrong on that. It could be Chinese. I'm not familiar enough with it. But I don't know if it's a camera button.
Yeah, because the one, I think I told you about what I had heard about what they were working on with it was kind of like a VTuber thing, but with your Mii, and then you would
kind of like what you have going on right now.
Yeah, kind of like this, but it would use a camera to get your body movements and then put that in the footage, and then you could put it over top of your gameplay and then share it that way.
I compared that a lot to like the Kinect. Is kind of what I looked at that as. It's very similar to the Kinect. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think Nintendo's necessarily going to go that route. There are some other rumors out there saying that it's going to have dual screen support, or that it may connect to your dock wirelessly. But again, those are just rumors.
Yeah. They did have that patent.
Maybe
right?
that button will allow it. I mean, if that is true, if that actually turns out to be true, maybe that button is to connect it to the dock if you're nearby, or disconnect it from the dock. So that way you don't have to get up and press anything on the dock.
But that would be if it, you beam the signal from you to the dock as opposed to putting the system in the dock.
Right. Which is what a lot of people are saying for the dual screen support of it. So you're not having like two screens you actually have to have. You have the dock that connects to your television and the actual Switch itself in hand.
So it's basically the reverse Wii U.
Yeah, it is a reverse Wii U, which would be my dream, because I can tell you this much. Whenever we talked about this the other day, actually,
Right, yeah.
not on the show, but person to person, we were both fuming about the fact that like there was no way to go use the bathroom and also take the Wii U with you.
Yeah.
I lived in a super tiny, I guess it was a 2-bedroom apartment, but the rooms, they weren't big enough to make it a 2-bedroom apartment. It was like 1 bedroom, and then Courtney had to have an office in the apartment. So we converted the other bedroom into an office. This was before we had kids and all the other jazz. Basically I had the TV and the Wii U in the living room, and literally through one wall was where my bathroom was. And I went to that room and I took the Wii U tablet in there, and I went to sit down to do a number 2, and I had nothing else. I didn't take my phone with me or anything. I took the Wii U tablet, so I had to sit there like a caveman staring at the wall because the Wii U tablet wouldn't connect to the Wii U. So I don't know. I hate pooping without entertainment now. It's just not a thing I do anymore. There's I could be wrong.
One does.
I could be wrong. But I don't know. You have anything else to add on the Switch 2 leaks topic before we move into the next thing?
I don't think not until next week when something else leaks.
Fingers crossed. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully Nintendo just says, okay, that was mostly real, but we're going to take it into our own hands and reveal. I will say, my final note on this topic is I had assumed that if it was real, Nintendo would do something about it. And not just legally, but take it into their own hands, because they want to control their own image, right? They don't want leaks happening. That's why they cracked down on Midori as hard as they did. Like, they don't want leaks coming out, or Pioro even, you know? They don't want leaks coming out. So I expected them to be like, okay, this has been said and done. This is out there. This is what we're going to do in response to this, is just do the announcement now. Because and they didn't. And that's why I almost did not believe it. But after Digital Foundry came out with their discussion on the actual like PCB being in there and identifying the parts and the placement of where it would go, I was like, okay, well, this has a lot more legitimacy than I may be thinking. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was like the Project Cafe, which was the Wii U, like information kind of similar to this came out, and then 3 days later they announced it. So,
oh man, well, that does kind of bring us to the next portion of the show. We're going to be diving into a game show that is titled Hyrule or Lowrule. So let me get this pulled up. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to put it on display for the people. The Legend of Rewind's Hyrule or Lowrule, where Chris Becker is going to have to be deciding between all of the 2D Legend of Zelda games, what ranks higher or lower on Metacritic. Okay, so that being said, we're going to dive right into this, and I'm going to be showing you your very first game that you have to rank here. Okay, your very first game on this list. Actually, I should ask you, are you ready?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
And chat, if you want to play along in the live chat, whether it be over on YouTube or right here at Twitch as well, please feel free. We are going to dive into this now with the very first game on the list here. The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past versus The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons. And I will award bonus points if you can guess their score as well.
I'm going to say Link to the Past is the high
Okay.
roll.
Okay.
And low roll is Oracle of Seasons 92 and 87.
Okay. All right. Is that your final answer? Are you locking that in?
Yeah, lock it in.
Okay. So you're saying A Link to the Past is Hyrule.
If they did their job right, yeah.
Okay. Link to the Past is the Hyrule here between that and The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. Just to let you know, most of these scores have been pulled from Metacritic's rankings, but there are some games that are on here that predate Metacritic doing rankings on these games, so I had to pull them from game rankings. And what you have here is A Link to the Past on Metacritic scored a 95. A 95. It is actually our highest scoring game on the list at a 95. And The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons is the Lowrule with a 91 from game rankings.
Much higher than I gave it credit for.
It is a good one. It is one of my favorites. It is one of my favorites. Not my favorite, but one of my favorites. All right.
No Zelda 2, you know?
No, it is no Zelda 2. It is no Zelda 2, that's for sure. We are going to go into the next set here, and it is going to be Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer, featuring Legend of Zelda, versus Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks.
Okay, so...
And keep in mind, these are all the 2D Zeldas as well, for anyone out there who is watching. These are only the 2D Zeldas in celebration of Echoes of Wisdom being a 2D Zelda that is coming out.
I'm going to say Cadence of Hyrule scores higher than Spirit Tracks.
Okay, so you were saying Cadence of Hyrule is the Hyrule?
Yeah, I don't remember the DS games scoring as well as some of the other games.
All right. So, do you have a guess on the scores?
I will say Cadence of Hyrule 86 and Spirit Tracks 82.
Okay, so the actual answer for this is, everybody get ready, hold your breath, drum roll please. Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer is actually your Lowrule. And The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks is your Hyrule out of this set. Crypt of the Necrodancer scoring an 85, you guessed an 86. And The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks scored an 87, you guessed an 82. Which you were darn close. You were darn close on that. You were 1 point off on Crypt of the Necrodancer. I am kind of personally blown away. There was only a 2-point difference here. But I'm personally blown away that Spirit Tracks did rank as high as it did. And I'm also blown away that Crypt of the Necrodancer performed as low as it did. I had a really good time with Crypt of the Necrodancer. And part of me understands why, like, that game is probably not for everybody. But...
yeah, the rhythm and, like, some people didn't like that, and then I could see Spirit Tracks scoring higher because it was like people were finally getting Zelda on the DS.
Right.
But
it is not the best Zelda game, I will say that much. It's a little bloated, and going around and having to travel all the way from one side of the map to the other on that train is so bad. It's so bad. Oh man. Tenderly in the live chat says people with no rhythm shouldn't play rhythm games, and I agree with that. Personally.
My favorite game of all time.
Elite Beat Agents. Emperor Gombeza says Crypt of the Necrodancer is a game you either love or hate, and I think that's probably the biggest reason why this is scored the way it is. It is very divisive. It is very divisive. We're gonna go into the third round here. Okay, the third round of games that you have on this list is going to be Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link, versus the original Legend of Zelda.
I'm gonna say Zelda 1 scored better. You know what? No, I'm gonna Zelda 2 scored better.
I was about to say, as a Zelda 2 stan, you're going with Zelda 1?
I know. Well, I wanted to win, but you know.
Oh man.
I feel like I can't not pick it. But if I remember correctly, people were not happy with Zelda 2, which is why they never went back to it. So I think Zelda did score better, but Zelda 2 scored better in my heart.
Okay, that doesn't tell me which one you think is the answer. Oh man. Which one do you believe is your Hyrule and which one do you believe is your Lowrule?
I think Legend of Zelda is the Hyrule.
And Adventure of Link is the Lowrule?
You said it, not me, but yeah.
Okay. And do you have a guess for scores on these? Comparing my grandpa's 2 favorite games. There is a theme in this category, yes.
I will say Zelda is maybe I'll say an 89.
The original Zelda?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Zelda 2, 75.
Okay. All right. So you are actually very right in what your guessing is here. Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link is indeed the Lowrule here. And the Legend of Zelda, the original Legend of Zelda is the Hyrule. But on your scoring, Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, you said 75?
Yeah.
It was actually rated at a 73. Which, just to let you know, it is tied with the lowest score on this list. There is another 73 later on down the road, so, and it is the lowest scoring game on the list. And then the original Legend of Zelda, you guessed an 89, it actually scored at an 84. It actually scored at an 84 on Metacritic. All right. That brings us into round number 4. Let me get this pulled up. Round number 4 is going to be Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes versus the Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass.
Is this the other game that's tied for the lowest?
Which one?
Phantom Hourglass?
You could guess that.
Yeah, maybe I will. I'm trying to
Oh my goodness.
I'm trying to think if
Do you remember much of Triforce Heroes or Phantom Hourglass?
Phantom Hourglass, I remember, where you would like walk around with like, weren't you like running around as, you had that like knight with you that would like, yeah, I remember not liking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Phantom Hourglass is one of those. I think you had to draw a lot of symbols on the DS screen too, right? Like,
yeah, they liked doing that. They liked not only that, but then I think didn't you for that and the other one, you use Spear Tracks. Didn't you use the touch screen to move Link around?
You did indeed. You used the touch screen to move Link around.
But yeah, Triforce Heroes I liked a lot, so I'm gonna say Triforce Heroes is the Hyrule.
Triforce Heroes is the Hyrule, and Zelda Phantom Hourglass is the Lowrule, is what your guess is?
Yeah.
Okay, and do you have a guess?
73.
81 and 73. Okay, let me get those. I'm trying to keep track. I missed what you guessed the first two were. But I've got all the other guesses so far. So you would be wrong. So, and by a lot, because here's the deal. Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes is the other tied worst ranking game from Metacritic on this list at a 73. Now, Triforce Heroes, Triforce Heroes was a fashion game at its heart. So, like, it is not quite the same kind of experience that you would expect out of Four Swords Adventures or Four Swords on its own either.
I played some of like multiplayer before the servers went down.
But Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass itself scored a 90. And that tells me that Nintendo paid really good money for those reviews. Because that game is no 90 to me. It is no 90.
Then that came out then before Spirit Tracks?
It did, I believe. I believe it was Phantom Hourglass and then Spirit Tracks. So
then that would have been the first handheld Zelda game.
On the dual screen generation.
But even since Link's Awakening DX, right? Because there was a Four Swords Adventure, but there wasn't, and that was just a part of the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. It was like Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past plus Four Swords Adventure. And that was like, I think that even is on NSO right now, isn't it?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
I believe it is.
Those games are garbage. The DS games, not a fan.
No, I'm with you. I am 100% with you.
I mean, Triforce Heroes is no Metroid Federation Force, but
oh no, don't speak evil of that. Why would you do that?
Federation Force. I like that game. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Phantom Hourglass was not a fan. Spirit Tracks, not a fan. I can't remember if I liked Spirit Tracks more.
I did not like Spirit Tracks more, just because the structure of the game itself. It was kind of frustrating how it was structured. Phantom Hourglass I enjoyed more than Spirit Tracks, but maybe that's because I don't really like auto scrollers that much. You know, I could be wrong.
Funny, I didn't like using the touchscreen to like move Link around, but I enjoyed using the touchscreen and like the way it looked on the on Animal Crossing, and how it looked like a globe. Like you're moving the world underneath them. You're not moving the character themselves.
That's true. That is true. Do you want to go into the 5th round that we have here now?
Let's get these two.
Let's see what we've got going. All right, yeah, we do need to get these 2 games off the screen. These are horrible games. The next round is going to be game number 1, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, versus game number 2, The Legend of Zelda: Four Swords Anniversary Edition. Now, the reason that I have it separated to the Anniversary Edition is because there were no ratings for the Four Swords mode that was included in the GBA release of that, which was A Link to the Past combo pack with Four Swords. And there was no way to play that game by itself until the Anniversary Edition, later released on Nintendo DS's.
And that was My Nintendo Rewards? Is that what that was?
I believe so. They did recently put it on Nintendo Switch Online as well, so if you wanted to try it out that way, it is the Anniversary Edition of that game, I believe.
Yeah, A Link Between Worlds, I'll say 91.
Okay. Link Between Worlds is your highest, and Four Swords Anniversary Edition is your low roll?
Yeah. But I think that's going to score well as well.
Okay. What do you want to guess on the score for? So you said 91 for A Link Between Worlds. What do you want to guess on your score for Four Swords Anniversary Edition?
We'll go 85.
All right. So here's what I'm going to tell you right now. Okay? Are you ready?
You better not tell me I'm wrong, because Link Between Worlds is the best 2D Zelda.
So here's what I will tell you: The Legend of Zelda. Well, that's a hot take first and foremost, and I will argue a different Zelda later. But A Link Between Worlds is your Hyrule, and you were awarded 2 bonus points as well with 91 out of 91 for A Link Between Worlds and an 85 out of 85 for Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Anniversary Edition. I cannot believe you got both of those right on the nose. I have to believe you're cheating. Who knows?
No, I'm not cheating.
Lies. You're cheating. I'm going to put you in the cheater corner. You're gonna go in the cheater corner. Oh, man. But I would say Link Between Worlds is a really, really loved game. It is beloved. Do I think it is the best one of the 2D Zeldas? No, but I totally see why people love it. I mean, it's essentially a Link to the Past with some new gimmicks, retelling that story in a more inventive and crazy way.
New gimmicks? What do you...
Going between worlds.
Game.
It's the same map. It opens up the same. It's
That's
all
like
fine.
saying, every Mario game's the same.
It is, though. It is. At the end of the day. But 4 Swords Anniversary Edition, I actually do not care for 4 Swords Anniversary Edition, and I will tell you why. It's a little bit too much of a roguelike, and I like roguelikes, but I don't want that in my Zeldas. I want a story. I wanted to tell me a story and take me along on an epic adventure, and that's not really present in 4 Swords Anniversary Edition. I will tell you where it is present, and this is in our next category, is Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. And going up against Legend of Zelda Minish Cap.
Let me just say something.
You're going into the cheater corner?
Blasphemy about me being in the cheater corner when instead I was just reading every single game magazine leading up to the release of these games.
I'm sure. Listen, I'll let Susie be she's the only one out there that believes in democracy anyway. Like, I'm gonna let Susie be the judge, jury, and executioner on this. Susie, if you let me know, does Chris belong in the cheater corner?
Put up a poll.
Yes, hang on, we can do that while you're trying to rationalize why.
While I'm looking these two up.
Yeah, do it.
Wait, what? Hold on. I was looking at the wrong screen because I was...
Oh, you're back there looking up the reviews on Metacritic, I see.
No, because I have the Twitch stream open, but I have it at 160p, so I couldn't make it out. So I couldn't make it out. And then I opened up the Discord. All right, 4 Swords Adventures. That was the GameCube?
Yes, that was the GameCube one, where you could connect Game Boy Advances to the GameCube through the Game Boy Advance link cable and be able to play the game the way God intended, swapping between screens of the TV to the GBA and back and forth. I actually just beat this game for the first time ever in the proper way with 4 people. I played it with there was a rotating cast. I had Lady Gamegaw who came on at one point. I Am Tenderly who came on at one point. Team Wildwood, Seeky Wisdom, Toasty was also a part of that playthrough, and it was so good. Like, it was such a good game. I had a really good time with that game.
It was a Wii U prototype.
It was you were right. You're right. It was a Wii U prototype. It was.
You could tell that they
two-screen experience.
Wanted to do that for a while.
It was a Nintendo DS prototype.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, I remember people liking 4 Swords Adventures, but I also remember so I'm not sure if I'm conflating this with Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, where people just did not enjoy the Game Boy Advance.
Well, Crystal Chronicles, the Game Boy Advance connections with that were a lot of them were dedicated to menuing and trying to do XYZ thing on it instead of actually gameplay. Whereas like 4 Swords Adventures actually had gameplay elements available on the GBAs.
That's true. Like when you would go down into the dungeon. But yeah. I really enjoyed Minish Cap, but I think it's probably, I'm a big fan of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, so I'm going to say Minish Cap is beat it out.
Okay.
Four Swords Adventure, I'm going to say Four Swords Adventure is 81, Minish Cap's 85.
Okay, so you're saying Minish Cap is your Hyrule and Four Swords Adventures is your Lowrule.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that you are correct. You are correct. Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap actually gets a score of an 89. And The Legend of Zelda: Four Swords Adventures gets a score of an 86. So you underestimated both of those games and how well they scored. I will tell you that much. I will also tell you that these are, especially after beating Four Swords Adventures and having the experience I did, these are two of my favorite. Minish Cap being my number one, Four Swords Adventures possibly skyrocketing up to my number two 2D Zelda experience on here. What's really interesting is that Minish Cap itself was an experience that I really liked because it was the first one that harnessed the power and made a game look like what I imagined a Zelda game should look like after the Game Boy Color. But even beyond that, it's the first one that Capcom developed for us. And they did a stellar job with the development of that game.
Here's the thing. I really like the color palette of Minish Cap, and I really like the Game Boy Advance, just the way Game Boy Advance games look. Just absolutely love them. But the idea that so you're saying the Minish Cap's your favorite?
Yeah, Minish Cap is my number one favorite out of all of these. It adopted the Wind Waker art style. It's what kind of set the standard for what you were going to look at for the next, 10 years of 2D Zeldas for the longest time. But like they did a really, really good job. I liked the gimmick of going in between small and large. The puzzles were not super obtuse, even with the size differences. I like the power-ups that they had in there. I was a big fan of Ezio, the talking bird cap that you had. And on top of that, this was my very first game that I streamed on Twitch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was my very first game I ever streamed on Twitch when I started streaming. It holds a very special place in my heart. And that's not my sentimentality talking, but that is me being honest about it. But you did get it right. You did get it right, even if you're begrudgingly telling me that it shouldn't be my favorite 2D Zelda.
I'm not saying it shouldn't be your favorite 2D Zelda. I'm saying of the 2D Zeldas, we got, of course, number one, Zelda 2. Number 2,
what a choice.
Link Between Worlds. Number 3, Link to the Past. Number 4, probably Minish Cap. So I mean, it's not too bad.
It's up there. It's up
Your
there.
Choice. Yeah, it's up there.
I'll take it.
Sure.
It's in your top 5. I'll take it. Oh man! Speaking of games that should be in people's top 5s. Speaking of games that should be in people's top 5s. We're going to be going into the 7th round here, looking at The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. This is the original Game Boy release. Versus The Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Ages. So a couple of Game Boy releases. You have the original The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening and the Game Boy Color step-sibling of Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages.
Are we going to touch DX too, or is it just...
We will be touching DX as well.
Alright, fair enough. I'm going to say Link's Awakening. So I'm thinking about these games. I mean, we get The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Ages, Capcom developed. But...
Hold on, Capcom developed Oracle of Ages?
Yeah, and Seasons.
I was wrong on that then. I thought Minish Cap was the first one that Capcom developed for us.
Well, could have made that up.
Well, now I gotta go look. Developer for Oracle of Seasons. Let me see who was the developer listed on that. No, it says a subsidiary of Capcom. It was a Flagship.
Yeah.
So you're not entirely incorrect. Capcom was the direct developer for Minish Cap, but their subsidiary developed the Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, which I would probably argue helped them solidify the rights to create the next Game Boy game for Nintendo, most likely, and that's why they moved it in-house to Capcom.
For what, the development?
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Capcom and Flagship is listed for Minish Cap as well.
Interesting. The more you know.
Yeah.
So but you're distracting, so you can take the time to go look on Metacritic.com. Let's hear what you let's hear what you think is your high rule and what you believe is your low rule.
Oh yeah, Link's Awakening, I'm going to say, is the high rule, because this would have been, the first game, like a handheld Zelda. I remember I remember Seasons and Stories and Seasons scoring well as well, but I think Link's Awakening is the high rule.
Okay. And what kind of score would you give it?
I'm going to say we'll go with because I think they're both like, one is like 86, the other one's like 84.
Okay.
So yeah, Link's Awakening 86.
Okay. And then Oracle of Ages in 84.
Yeah.
Okay. So these both have rankings that predate Metacritic ratings for some reason. Even though obviously we have Metacritic ratings for the original Zeldas, I think they just went back and re-reviewed for that.
They probably like the Wii.
Yep.
The Wii Virtual Console or something.
Right. They did not do re-reviews for these, so both of these scores actually come from game rankings. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening is not your high roll. It is actually Oracle of Ages is the high rule. And Link's Awakening scores, the original Link's Awakening scores at a 90, and The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages scores at a 92. So both significantly higher than what you gave them. I am curious to know, and I think I'll ask this question after we wrap up the game itself. Are these scores that you would give these right now as well, or are you the ones you're guessing, or are you trying to guess what the general populace that reviews games would guess?
Yeah, well, I was trying to guess what I thought what scores they would have gotten back then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Plus, Seasons and Ages, I haven't played those in Seasons and Ages. But so I'd have to go back and play them again. But yeah, Link's Awakening, I feel like if I were to go back and play it again now, I would want to play either the original or DX more so than the remake. Sorry, Grozzo. But yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that actually does bring us to our final category for the night. Okay? And in honor of Echoes of Wisdom getting ready to release and having a certain art style from a certain development warehouse that they've worked with, we're going to be ranking against, or my apologies, Chris is going to be deciding against The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening DX versus The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening Switch Remake.
That's right. Here we go. I actually think Link's Awakening, the DX is the low roll, we'll say. Because I remember we were talking about this, and some people complained a little bit about the performance of Link's Awakening on the Switch. I would say GameCube. because that's what it felt like it was running.
Oh no.
But
So mean.
But going back and playing it, I think the best thing that came out of that game was probably the amiibo. But the Link's Awakening, I remember people talking about really enjoying that game and liking it, and not as many people complaining about the performance as they have since they've gone back and tried to play it. Now with Echoes of Wisdom coming out soon, people going back playing through Link's Awakening, and they're like, oh man, I don't remember this performing this poorly. Turns out, yeah, it was.
It was a beautifully done game, but it was not super optimized for the Nintendo Switch. I will say that much.
Yeah, and because I even remember then people were like, "Oof, I hope this has Switch Pro performance enhancements when the Switch Pro comes out."
I'm going multi-plat. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
In 2020, we're going multi-plat, baby. It's gonna be the bridge title.
Yeah.
Oh man. So you were saying Link's Awakening DX is the Lowrule and Link's Awakening Switch remake is the Hyrule?
Yes.
Okay, and what kind of scores would you assign for those?
So you're telling me Link's Awakening was 90?
Yes, the original Link's Awakening was a 90.
Because I'm trying to think. I can't remember if people either enjoyed Link, the DX, enjoyed it, the color and the difference, and that, you know, the one dungeon that you could do, or if people were like, there's not really as much here as we'd like. So I'm going to guess DX is, yeah, the Lowrule with 80. I'm going to say 85, and then Link's Awakening 89.
Okay. All right, I am revealing the answer now. Your thought process was a little bit all around, a little bit all over the place, and I will say that you're wrong. But here's the thing: Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening DX actually scored 1 point higher than its original release with a 91. Now note that score also comes from game rankings as well as the original Link's Awakening's score. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening for the Switch has a Metacritic score of an 87. Which is kind of impressive to me, because here's why I'm kind of thrown off by that. The reason being is that, yeah, the performance was bad, right? We can't deny that. The performance was bad, but the aesthetic was so good that it spawned enough people asking for more games in that art style. With that like toy-like aesthetic and style. On top of that, it had all the same stuff that DX had, that Link's Awakening DX had, and it had the addition of being able to build some dungeons in it. Now, it wasn't quite Zelda Maker, but you could do some dungeon creation in there by going and talking to Dampa.
Yeah, that's true.
So it had additional items. Do you believe, and here's the question I have for you out of that, do you believe that the performance on there is enough to knock it? I mean, it got an 87 versus a 91. Is enough to knock it 4 whole points? That's 4% knock, because its performance was bad. But I mean, it's doing so much more than the original Game Boy release did.
Right. Yeah, but then also, it's like, still, the original Game Boy game, you're running around doing all that trading, this item for that item, doing this and that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite... it was a little bit different in terms of being they were kind of given almost free reign, kind of like, here, just go make a game, and that's what they went ahead and did. But yeah, I think that could be why, like, people thinking of that game in modern context.
Yeah.
Playing it looks better, but the performance wasn't as good, and playing through that game now, maybe it just doesn't hold up quite like it used to.
Yeah, I could see that being the absolute case. Well, do you want to know your final score out of 8 rounds?
Let's hear it.
You had a total score of 6, and really, you were on the mark about 50% of the time. You got 2 bonus points out of that for being spot on with both A Link Between Worlds and Four Swords Anniversary Edition, although the jury in the chat said that it was 222 votes saying that you definitely cheated.
All from one person, I want to say, just for the record.
Okay, Donald Trump. But, that being said, I think you did a really, really good job. I think you honestly did better than I probably would have done. If I hadn't known the answers to these prior to doing the show, I think you did better than I would have done. Because again,
listen, I didn't know the answers until I looked them all up anyway.
Oh, so you admit that you're cheating?
No, that's what
you looked them all up. Oh man, but no, it is good, and it's exciting because we're gonna have one more 2D Zelda to add to the list of 2D Zelda games. There we go. And there was one that said no, you didn't cheat. But and I don't know who that was. Well, I'll find out for you after the stream, and we'll make sure that we put them on the thank yous for you to read next week. So, but yeah. That being said, I think we can be really excited for Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. If it has a similar kind of performance issue, which I'm a little on the fence about, fingers crossed, we don't see that with the Nintendo Switch release. But that being said, please keep your eyes peeled. We will be doing a couple of more videos on Zelda this week, and just keep your ear to the ground. I'm excited.
What do you think people are going to score it? Like, what do you think the Open Critic or Metacritic score is going to be?
So
tomorrow when the reviews go live.
Tomorrow from Metacritic, you posted on Twitter this past week.
Oh, the poll.
Yeah, you said something along the lines of, you think that the Echoes of Wisdom will get an undeserved 92 or something like that, didn't you?
Say that. Susie said.
Oh yeah, Susie said that. My bad. What did you say?
I just posted, what do you think it'll score?
Oh,
90 or above.
That's what it was. You didn't say what you thought. You 80, asked.
Yeah, 80 to 89.
Did I even actually vote in the poll, or did I just respond to Susie?
You probably just replied to Susie, yeah.
I'm going to go vote in the poll right now.
It's over. The poll's over.
What? Start it back up. I'm going to send the people your way over on your socials. So that way people can go vote. No, it's, I don't know. When I think about it, and I think about it from the perspective of what the gameplay looks like, again, I have my own preconceived notions because we have reviews that are going to be going out. But and I don't want to spoil our own review for it. But I think it's going to be somewhere in the low 80s. I think it's going to be somewhere in the low 80s, honestly. I don't, 80s? Yeah. Like when I look at it from the perspective of Spirit Tracks, Phantom Hourglass getting an 87 and a 90. And Minish Cap getting an 89, which I'm not bitter about at all. But when I look at it that way, I think low 80s is likely going to be where it lands, especially if it is still built within the same engine within the Nintendo Switch, and you see the same kind of performance coming out of that game. I think that people are going to be a little harsher on this game than they were on the Link's Awakening remake for the Switch. And so I'm going to say low 80s. What about you?
Well, if hunks of junk like Mario Maker can get an 89 and Mario Maker 2 can get an 88, I would say there's a good chance this is probably going to be close to somewhere between 85 to 80.
Do you just want to fight right now?
85 to 88. Okay.
No, it's not okay. So you're gonna say it's gonna get an 85 or an 88?
85, but yeah, somewhere in that chunk, 85 to 88.
So high 80s, but not up to 89. So no higher than 88.
No higher than 88, or I could see it getting a 72.
I should put a number on this and say an 80. I'm going to say an 83 is what I'm going to say. I should put a number on it, a definitive number. I'm going to say an 83.
I'll say 85.
Metacritic's going to give it an 83, and you're going to say an 85, and we're going to go by Price is Right rules, whoever's closest without going over.
Right.
In that case, an 86. Oh, man. But no, it's I'm excited for the game. I'm excited for people to get their hands on the game, and there's a lot to look forward to this week. So
already number 1 on the eShop.
Yep.
In every territory.
Yep. So you can know Famitsu Magazine is gonna be like, this is number 1. This is gonna be number one game.
Yeah, 40 out of 40, baby.
Speaking of games that are coming out this week, let's go to the Nintendo Rewind Fast Forward. You know, it would probably benefit me a lot if I actually had up the what?
Nothing, I just cracked myself.
If I actually had up the games that are coming out, Chris, do you want to tell the people what games are coming out this week?
Yeah, sure. A game came out today, actually, is Epic Mickey Rebrushed. This is just a remake of Epic Mickey. Out now. Was it $59.99?
Did I not put the... Yes, it is $59.99.
And
I was afraid I didn't put the price. I was like, wait a second. Did I not put that in the notes?
There's a demo in the eShop. I think we talked about this one last week.
Mm-hmm. We did.
But yeah, so yeah, just it's out now. You don't have to wait for it. Go grab it. And enjoy that. And that is $59.99 out today. What was the
It was Worms Armageddon was the next one?
Yes, that's right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Worms Armageddon, that is out on the 26th, I want to say.
Yes, that is out the same day as Zelda. Boy, Team 17 is brave.
They know they got plenty of Worms loyalists.
Truly.
I think the game is $25.
Yeah, it's half the price of what the Zelda is. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, how can you charge half the price of what Zelda is and release on the same day as Zelda does? You're brave or dumb. Like, one of the two.
Yeah. So there's that, and I love Worms. So the fact that I can go ahead and play it, gladly. I would gladly play that game. Let me just see here. Do you have any interest in Worms or no?
I do. I really liked Worms way back in the day. There was a game that was very similar to Worms. It may have been Worms that I played on original more Windows computers that was a lot simpler looking than Worms Armageddon. I can't remember what that one was called. Probably, likely just Worms. I really liked that one. Worms Armageddon was tons of fun. It came out around middle school time for me, and so we would goof off in class and play it because people would go on websites and pirate it and download it on the school computers through LimeWire. But it was a really, really good time. The only problem that I have with it now is that I don't know how it holds up. It's been so many years since I played it. I don't know how it really holds up.
Fine. It holds up just fine, please.
And I will say, like, just playing against computer players is no fun. So, like, if I'm going to play against somebody, I want to play co-op. Not even co-op, head-to-head, not co-op. My apologies. But, you know, that's what I would prefer to do. The AI is dumb.
If we're not busy this weekend, let's do 100-round battle. Just me versus you.
Listen,
First to 100 wins.
You apply, we get us a code for it. I'll absolutely play it with you.
I'm on it.
Okay, get 2 codes. Tell them you need 2 for the podcast, and we're gonna do a video review for it.
Video review. We're gonna have 100-round match
live on bonus content over at NintendoRewind.com. If you want to see that, go subscribe over there at the $5 tier. And then final game.
Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom.
What is that game? Has anyone heard of this one?
This is the game. You know, there is an interesting little what is it, like a Q&A with the team talking about it?
There is. It's parts 1, parts 2, parts 3 at Nintendo.com.
Yeah, and this was originally pitched as when they first showed it to Nintendo, it was a like Zelda Dungeon Maker where you played as Link, and then it turned into this. The game has a, definitely I like the style of the game, like the look of it. But yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it more. We'll have a review on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that'll be quite enjoyable. Thoroughly enjoyable.
Thoroughly. Yes. Absolutely.
Yes, this is out.
Same day as Worms. Put it on your calendar. It's out the same day as Worms.
When you're done playing Worms. Yeah.
Oh man, priorities, people. But how much is it?
$59.99, or you can save some money if you get use a voucher to get it.
Mm-hmm. And then you have some money left over to do another thing. You can get another thing.
That's true.
There's also the Switch Lite available on that same day. I keep forgetting to mention the Switch Lite is available that same day. Oh, yeah. So you can get yourself a Hyrule edition if you want that.
Forget to mention that as well.
It's down at the very bottom. So, but they do have those. They do have all of the Ask the Developer volume 13 on there for Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. Available on the news site over there at Nintendo.com. So do yourself a favor, go check it out. That's going to be exciting. That does bring us to the end of the show. So, Chris, where can they find you? I already put links in the link tree there. Linktree.Super Nintendo or / Super Nintendo.
Yeah, pretty much Super Nintendo on everything. You can find me there, here, once a week talking. Yeah. What about you? Where can people find you?
You can find me over at nerdwireplays.com for everything that you want to see about me. So if you want to catch up with me, you can go over there, and see all the stuff I'm doing, which isn't a whole lot right now because I'm so busy with everything else in my life. So I haven't really been streaming, and I rarely am posting, and it's like, I'll figure it out. We'll get there. We'll make it. We're going to get through it. But that does bring us to the end of the show. Remember that you can catch all of our past episodes in video form over at youtube.com /@the_Nintendo_Rewind. You got to add the in there. Visit our site for links to all of our social media pages at nintendorewind.com, and consider supporting the show through memberships on our site where you'll get bonus content only available there. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, you can catch us weekly, Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on Twitch and YouTube. Not only on Twitch, but definitely on YouTube too. So, love your faces. Remember, be kind. Please rewind. We'll see you when we see you. Peace.